apparently watching. I don't know if it's.
Might be us.
I was going to say, I don't know if it counts. No, it'll be.
It's probably me.
Yeah.
It might well be. Oh no, we got 2 viewers this time.
I don't know how we do it from my laptop.
Go onto the channel. Sorry, we're trying to figure out this new feature. So, as you may have noticed, there's more than just the 2 of us this time. This time we've got Ian of Team Ballylog Classics joining us.
Hello. Hello.
That should be good fun. Hopefully provide a different perspective on many of the things we usually have to talk about. Well, but first of all, how are you doing, Ian? Are you keeping well?
Yes, very well, thanks. Yeah. Survived Christmas and New Year, okay, which is always good. But yeah, all good. Nice and quiet.
Excellent. Oh, look, we're in the live chat now as well.
I know, yeah.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. Happy New Year, Finley. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so we thought,
Scooting.
Usually we do these live streams at the end of December. But
the end of the month.
Yeah.
Not just December.
Well, okay, let me rephrase. We were going to do this at the end of December 2022. But yeah, it's now the next year. We're in 2023. Unfortunately, over this period of time, we've not been doing that well, have we?
No, you've been all right. You've managed to avoid it, but I have managed to catch every virus going from my class at school, which took me down for about a week and a half, which was pleasant. Never mind.
Yes, and we understand, Ian, you've not been too well either recently.
Yeah, same. Hit with the old coughing virus, as you call it.
The coffee virus, yeah.
For the second time.
Not ideal, is it?
But anyway, we'll go through it.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to only have it once, I guess, if there is a lucky enough with it.
You don't jinx yourself.
But as you say, I've now probably just jinxed myself with it.
Great.
Well, I was lucky to get it on our coldest week, so I didn't get outside for a week, which was lucky. So I missed the minus. What was it? -10, I think, was our coldest.
Wow, cold.
What was it here? It was like -7.
It was -7 one morning when I got up to scrape the car to go to work, which was lovely. But
yeah, no. Well, thankfully we haven't had any snow as yet. So, but we usually get our snow in January or February, so that's to look forward to.
Yeah, we had a sprinkling of snow during the time when everywhere else in the UK seemed to get a lot.
Loads.
An inch, 2 inches of snow maybe. But yeah, we only got a light dusting basically.
I was saying, even a small flurry was enough to excite some 6-year-olds, so that was okay.
Understandable, really, I would have been.
So yeah, do you get anything mini or car based for Christmas then from Santa Claus?
Oh, surprisingly not really this year, no. I've got a few little things, mainly tools really, batteries and things for the tools I've already got. But no, I didn't really get any mini-based things at all this year for Christmas, I'm afraid.
I never do.
No, I can't be blind.
Yeah, well, I have to buy them myself. So, I do have an order coming from Mini Spares, so hopefully I'll get it in the next couple of days. So,
ooh, any hints as to what it's going to be, or is that specifically for the channel?
This is all for the channel.
Oh no.
So yeah, so nice. Anyway.
Yeah, we thought we'd try something a little bit different for this month, or technically December's live stream, even though it is obviously New Year. Can you believe we're only one day into 2023 already? It feels like we've been in about 10 days.
I know. We've been busy today. We've done a lot of planning and sorting and all sorts of stuff. But I'm just quickly going to say good evening to Simone as well, who's joined us. And they get no snow in Cornwall.
Shame, isn't it, really?
Too far south. Too warm down
English
there.
Riviera.
Too warm.
Yeah. I know. We thought we'd try something a bit different with this. Basically, we joined the Up and Down Vids live stream, as some of you may remember, what was it, back in November? Even that feels a million miles away now.
18th of November.
Yeah, even that feels a million miles away now. But we joined in with that, and we had to go with this Go Live Together thing that YouTube seems to have. So we thought we'd give it a little bit of a try on here.
I don't know how many people you can add at the same time.
No, I'm not quite sure. We need to explore it a little bit, so please forgive us if there are any technical problems that may feature. Hopefully there won't be. I know one thing we have discovered, which between us and Ian, Laptop or computer support would be great.
Yeah, if they did it on computers, that would be helpful, because we're a bit.
Yeah, that was very strange, because I actually used the link that you sent me that I got access on my phone, okay, but it wouldn't give me access on my laptop. But that could be, I'm using my work laptop, so it could be a security thing with my work.
Oh, it could be on that, yeah.
I don't think you can get it on your, because when we click going on the laptop, because I've got it down here.
Just to follow the chat more than anything else.
Like create, and then you've got upload video, go live, and create post, but you don't have the option to go live together, which is what we're doing.
Yeah, well, it just came up with like a help FAQ type.
Help.
So yeah, it's all a bit strange, but yeah, well, this is all new to me as well, so we'll learn it together. So yeah.
Good evening to Mark as well, who's joined us.
Yes. Don't worry about being late, Mark.
No, you're fine.
We've only just started ourselves, really.
Simone says about the Up and Down channel. But he did an amazing job on his. He did 24 hours of live streaming continually. He was awake and chatting for probably the whole thing.
He was a Pompey boy, apparently.
Yes. With loads of different people, different YouTubers, different people in the car industry. He was doing it for a local charity, and ended up raising over £8,500 in 24 hours, which wasn't bad going.
No, it's a huge achievement.
Yeah, it was a bit. I don't know how he did it for so long, and I haven't watched all 24 hours, but I've watched bits and pieces of mainly of YouTubers that I've obviously like yourselves that I follow, and a few other ones which all just seem really interesting. So I must go back and watch the rest of them as well. Yeah, it was an amazing feat for him, and fair play to him for being able to raise so much as well for charity. So yeah, fair dues.
I think when he needed the toilet, it was in there. Nicely timed it for the crossovers of different people.
Yeah, so people would come in and he'd just rush off quickly and come back.
It's this bit of time that it takes to sort of set it up and send the links and click the links and add it and join and whatever. He would nip to the loo and come back.
Because I think because he had a timer of some sort as well, didn't he? And he said it would only do it in about 4-hour slots. So he had to keep restarting every time. So I think in total he had an overlap of about 15 minutes or something like that.
But yeah, he didn't do too badly.
No, to be on for 24 hours and just know anything to talk about, basically.
Well, yeah. I think that was why also having different people helped. We ended up talking about all sorts of rubbish. But
yeah. We ended up talking about rude place names.
No change there.
No. So, shall we discuss what we've all been up to in the last month since we all did a live stream, basically?
Aside from being ill.
Aside from being ill, yes. And but before we do that, no, Finley, I did not know Up and Down Vids had an SM. Did you know that, Ian?
No, I didn't. Well, I did know he's a bit of a Citroen fan, but I didn't know about the SM. Now that's interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
We got any more questions to ask or answer?
No, Mark just says he's not attempted a live stream. Hopefully by the time I do, you guys will have figured it all out for me. Well, maybe we'll have to just do one and that we can invite Mark to join us.
That'd be good, yeah. Definitely. So shall we start with you, Ian? What have you been up to in the last month? Apart from being ill.
I haven't really got a chance to get out to the garage very much, but maybe more than a month. Probably really since Halloween has been my busiest of a few things. Like not after show season finished, I've taken the traveller off the road, so it's getting its yearly spanner check and a few things. So there's a few little things I need to get sorted on it. I need to get front suspension tidied up. So I'm kind of making a list really of just what I need to get done, and I'm waiting really actually more than anything for the lift to come free at my dad's garage so I can use the lift because our current project car is currently on the lift, which will all be revealed this coming Friday for
excellent.
So yeah, it's currently on the lift, and hopefully we're getting a chance to work on it tomorrow, and at least get it towards getting it back on its wheels again. Still need to get tires for the wheels. The original tires were fairly perished, so we're really buying things for it, mostly mechanical things, very very simple bits and pieces. So other than that, I've been doing very little. More just tidying the garage, getting things ready, and trying to get things ready for next season, for this season, if you want to call it this now. So yeah,
it'll roll around quickly.
Yeah. So that's about it, really. Well, other little things are more just in the background. I have a box here behind me, as well, which is going to be in a future video. That's come all the way from Australia. So that's something with Tomo's tune-ups that I'm doing. And as well as that, I have a collaboration that has just started with Classic Mini DIY. So it's something that's going to be announced again in the next couple of weeks as well. So these little things are happening in the background, which are starting to take wheels. So yeah, exciting time. 2023.
Excellent. Yeah, 2023 is looking to be a good year, actually. I'm looking forward to what we've got coming up in it.
Yes.
But yeah, before we move on, just out of interest, Ian, can you see the live chat at all on your screen?
Yes, I can.
Excellent.
Yeah. You've got some compliments on your artwork behind you.
Yeah. So well, this one up behind me is the Italian Job.
I was going to say that's the Italian Job. I remember.
So
I remember that one from growing up.
I won that in I think it was a raffle from a local mini run. It was called the Mini Safari. It was kind of all based around like zoo type things where you drove around like a sort of like a treasure hunt type idea, and but also try to spot little animals as you went along and try to get them in order. So usually like a stuffed tiger or a stuffed monkey or something. You'd write them all down in order. So yeah, I won. I think I might have been first prize actually. I think I won it that year. I got that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's cool.
So yeah, that's up here. I'll spin it around. So these are just my own artwork things. Well, this one here was just one I found at I think it was a market. I think I found that one. But then obviously this is my Rally Mini here, and this is the Traveller. So yeah, so this is my little office that I retreat. My little zone in here.
A little man cave.
Yeah, my little man cave, exactly. So, and my editing suite behind me here. So,
yeah, the most I've got of things like that in here are a little number plate type thing I got when I went to Italy on holiday a few years ago, which actually fits in quite well for taking the panda to shows.
Stretching.
There we go. Ta-da.
Oh yeah, I've seen you have that in there I think on your. Was it your Italian car show at in Brands Hatch? I think you saw it on Pogo.
Probably, yeah. So I had that in the window. One of them, 1 year, probably 2021, I think. And the other one is just one of these parking only type ones that you see.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky just to have this small room here. This is the smallest bedroom in our house, and I just claimed it for myself. So thankfully we don't need this room. So.
Yeah. I've got quite a few of these in the garage, but I just haven't put them up yet.
All Italian?
No, not necessarily. I've got a Fiat one and I've got a Mini one as well. But obviously the Mini's sort of where it is, and I haven't got a lot of space on that wall, unfortunately. So I need to plan that out a bit better. Maybe one for the future garage where we eventually get somewhere.
Yeah, our own garage.
Yeah, we can put stuff anywhere and everywhere we want to.
It's just in the chat there, Finley. I'll actually put a link to my channel in the chat here. It's Team Ballylock Classics, but I'll put a link to my channel here. It's sometimes maybe not the easiest channel name, I suppose, for a lot of people to take, I guess. So
you've had quite a few guesses of that, haven't you, with your channel name in the past?
Yeah, a lot of people have struggled with how to pronounce it. But if you're not from Ireland, it's maybe not the easiest to pronounce.
No, I remember when we first started getting in contact, I called it Team Ballylough Classics, I think.
Yeah,
which is close, but not quite.
Well, yeah, I can forgive you for that. You do have Loughborough, so
that's true.
I can forgive you for mispronouncing it.
Yeah, and then
but yeah,
also kind of spells.
Yeah, Ballylough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the guys in Vancouver, was it Stevenson Motor Co. Yeah, they did I don't know how they came about, but they actually linked my channel in to one of their videos one time. I think they were just looking for different things. They're kind of like showcasing different videos that they found, and one of them was mine, and they had it was a lot of fun listening to them try to pronounce it. but just to say that, yeah, I had a Mini City once, 87. I was rotten. Well, yeah, that was the very popular year for Rust.
Yeah,
in
it was.
Rover. The Austin Rover Minis, even though they might have been the most produced ones, I guess, for the 80s, late 70s into the early 90s, for the most part, were not great. I've had quite a few sort of the mid 80s type cars, and yeah, they are renowned for rust, and particularly the rusted brown ones for some reason rusted more. It must have been something, maybe something in the paint or something, I don't know, but
Probably, yeah.
yeah, I had a couple of brown ones and they were very rotten. But yeah, once they went into the 90s, the 60s minis, again, they're getting to 40 years old, 50, 60 years old, and but they have a very different metal being used, and my Traveller still has, I'd say, probably 70% of its original metal.
Good.
Really, they were really much better built. But then once you got into the late 90s, it started quality started to go back downhill again. Sort of the 97 on minis, the multi-point injection minis suffer from a lot of rust in places you wouldn't expect as well. So yeah, it's just what goes with being in minis, I guess. So.
Yeah. So what has actually been changed on your Mini then, for those who obviously don't follow the channel or haven't seen or heard of it before?
Well, for those who don't know, okay, as I said, this is my Mini Traveller on the photograph behind me here. So it's a 1964 Morris Mini Traveller. Originally it was an 850 cc. I found the car. It was a friend of my dad's actually, was looking to store a Volkswagen Scirocco, Mark 1 Volkswagen Scirocco that had some accident damage in his cousin's barn, but his cousin had the barn full. I says, well, yeah, you can store your car here, but I need to get rid of something first. And of course, our friend said, okay, what have you got? And he started listing off a list of things that he had, and he mentioned an old Mini. So Thomas, knowing that I like my minis, said to me, Ian, do you want to buy an old Mini? And I says, yeah, of course. So we went down to have a look at this old Mini. I didn't expect anything fancy at all. I expected likes of an 87 Austin Mini 1000 or something. But when he opened the barn doors, all I could see was the front of the Mini. It was almond green, so it is old. So the external door hinges and the sliding windows, yeah, really old Mini Mark 1. But that's all I could see. And every pulled the cover off it, it was a Woody Traveller. I said, yeah, I have to have it. So yeah, we got it, brought it home. I was doing my A-levels, supposed to be studying for my A-levels. But I spent the time working at the car instead, which probably accounts for the woeful grades that I got. And yeah, rest is history. It became a 99. The engine was seized, so I bought a 1984 Mini, which was rotten for its running gear. It became 998, and it sat for that. Obviously, it got a tidy up. It wasn't rotten, but it got a tidy up. And I drove it like that for a long time as my everyday car.
Wow.
And then took it off the road in 2007 and decided to put in a 1275 Cooper S into it, which was being rebored to 1293 and is fairly tuned. It's almost to the spec of the minis that race at Goodwood, almost to that spec. I say it's about 90% of the way to that. Barring the carburetors and the cam and the gear ratio. I think that's the only differences in the specs. So yeah, it'd be nice to remedy that and have a full Swift Tune styled Goodwood racing spec Woody. So, but yeah, so that's my Traveller. Have it for 20. Well, don't I like to say 26 years?
Everybody just does that.
Yeah.
Just everyone get their fingers up and right, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's 26 years I have it now.
Wow.
And yeah, wasn't my first Mini either. I had my first Mini when I was 12, which was a 19, I'm not sure exactly the year, it was 60 or 61 Austin 7. It wasn't even a Mini. One of the very early Minis, Austin 7. But it wasn't roadworthy at all. I just sat in my garage in the bottom of our yard and I played on it, pretended I was Paddy Hopkirk. And then I learned how to just take it apart. So Dad let me loose with his socket set and a few screwdrivers, and it was there you go, and take that mini apart. So that's what I did.
Excellent.
So,
that does sound like a really fun little project. That I love what you've done with the mini, the Traveller. This is obviously it's the one I've known you with.
Yeah, well, it's the one I've since the one I've had the longest. So it wasn't my first mini, but it's the one I've definitely had the longest. I think I've had. I did do a count. I think I've had 30 minis or something. I've been heading that direction. High 20s anyway. I've had over 30 cars anyway, and but that's the one that I've always kept. I have it 26 years, and I'll have it as long as I remember. I'll be passing it down to my son. So, whenever.
As long as he doesn't take it apart, that's fine.
It'll probably need taken apart and rebuilt before he is custodian of it. That'll be another. Well, he's only 2, so it'll be at least another 15 years before he's driving it.
Yeah. How is he doing at the minute anyway?
Yeah, he's very good, thanks. Yeah.
He enjoyed Christmas.
He did, loved Christmas. Yeah. So yeah, he's that excitable age. Last year it was different because he was still only a baby, but this year he was full of wows and yes and yeah. It's been, he's redecorated the tree about 4 times already. So.
Oh, Christmas is always special with children around, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. No, that's the same. My wife and I were saying, like, it doesn't matter what we get at all, as long as he's happy and he gets his time. And yeah, he loved it. So he was spoiled by all his aunts and uncles and grannies and grannies. So yeah, it's been great. So
you have a couple of questions. I don't know if you saw them.
Yeah, I'm just going down. Yeah, he's already. Sorry, I've gone down. Mirror Mark 5, yeah, that's right. Oh, Phil, that's a while. Phil, you may or may not know, Philip has, he featured on my channel. That was the British Leyland inspired mini that I think was actually the very first episode of yours Drive. So that's Phil, yeah, he's very, the Mark 5s on were pretty bad. Yeah. And our aftermarket new panels from Minis Good Metal. I think they differ. It depends what you go for. Yeah, anytime I've ever got any bodywork done, I farm any bodywork out. I'm not a welder by any means. So the body shop I normally go to, he always insists on using genuine panels or the British Motor Heritage panels. So I think there's others. There's Hadrian and Magnum panels. So there's a lot of different panels out there. Mini Machine, and there's another one. But they all vary. But I suppose they're as good as metal is today anyway, I guess. And I suppose it's all over economics now as well. So I guess they're probably not as they're more than likely not as good as they were back in the day. So, but you just have to deal with what you have.
Yeah,
it's getting ones that fit well is the problem. There are some aftermarket panels which just inherently don't fit and need a lot of bodywork to make them fit. So I did give, I don't even know what make it was, I did give a panel that I couldn't, I was doing a 1962 Mini at the time in East Saloon, and I couldn't get a boot floor for it, genuine boot floor, so I got an aftermarket one, and I don't know how it got through. There was no way it was going to fit at all, and the body shop sent me home with it, and he actually just made his own. He was a proper paddle beater and made his own one with the English wheel and from a flat piece of steel, and yeah, I had to pay for that one. I say it was quite labor intensive to make that one, but yeah, these are the problems you get.
I was going to say that is one of the biggest problems I've heard with getting bodywork sorted is when you buy aftermarket panels, some of them just will not fit without a lot of, I guess, fabrication or alterations or whatever,
Yeah, no, bodywork I find has become very expensive. I'm glad it's been a long time since I've had to get any proper bodywork done. The Traveller got, I suppose, just before I put the engine in it, so about 2017, I think was the last time I got any bodywork done. It was expensive then, but then it's nearly 10 years ago now, so it's as all thing prices are going to be going through the roof now as well. And especially I think since the Mini went off, since it stopped production, prices have just constantly been going up, and then with that as well, the prices of repairs and bodywork have gone up as well along with it. So, because we have a few friends of ours, we have a WhatsApp group, and one of the fellas is getting some quotes done for getting his Mini repaired, and he's been telling me as well, some of the quotes he got has been extortionate, and you really wonder, is it even worth it? But I suppose we have to pay it if we want to keep these wee cars on the road. So.
Yeah, because I've been looking at getting some quotes for the Mini as well, because it's got a few little things cropping up here and there.
Yeah.
Which, it's a car that's 30 years old, and most of the bodywork from A panel backwards it's original, So you kind of expect stuff to crop up, and I mean it's not. I wouldn't say overly expensive for what I'm asking to do. I thought the price was fair. It was what I was expecting, but in terms of time for it, it's probably not going to be until after the summer show season this year is over. So I've got to wait a little bit yet. So,
but it's that waiting and hoping that nothing else goes wrong in that time.
Yes.
And then having to factor in
another
thing,
bit.
that you weren't planning on.
Yeah, that's always the way, because you take one panel off and you'll find something behind it, and especially for the older Minis, like the earlier ones, like Mark 1s, like I have, the A panel is in two pieces. So you have an inner A panel and an outer A panel, and there's a little spacer strengthener between them, which actually then holds the door hinges on. Obviously, the weight of the door is all on the A panels. Because I know whenever we did the Traveller, we took the A panel starting to bubble, and there's a little bit of rot in it. As soon as we took that off, the inner A panel was almost non-existent.
Okay.
So we didn't expect that. But then you have other problems. Thankfully, mine didn't have it, because the car went off the road in 1978, so it was off the road. It was off the road longer than it had been on the road whenever I found it. So thankfully, it still had all of its original metalwork, and had never had any repairs done. It just had deteriorated and never got any repairs done, because this would all been. I'm not sure if it had been pre-MOT over Northern Ireland here, but MOT came in. Am I right in saying maybe the early 70s? So the car probably hadn't had that many MOTs in its life, and I think it was every 2 years to begin with as well. But I could be wrong on that. But thankfully, there was no oversills. I had no bodge repairs that were done, and things to worry about, which I've had to look at in other Minis that I've bought, later ones. Which then you've got, I think the worst one I had was an 86 or 87 Mini that I had actually had 3 sills on it.
3?
So whenever I got it, yeah. So the original sill was still there, which then had obviously started to rot, and started put an oversill over it, which had then started to rot, and there was a second oversill. So that was the biggest bodge repair I've ever seen on a car that I've owned, and mixed in with paper mache, newspapers stuffed down voids and cavities. That car was a mess. I don't know how it got MOTs.
Did you actually find out the dates on the newspapers that were shoved?
Yeah, there were dates going back. See, this was been a late 80s car, so then they were going back to like the early 90s. So the car wasn't that old when it started getting bodywork, which goes back to some of the comments there about how bad the cars were in the late 80s, that a 4 or 5 year old car was rotten, and needing huge amounts of repairs done. That car, I didn't even repair that one. I sold it on. It became a spares and repairs car, and we just got rid of it and sent it back. And somebody used it for its engine and gear subframes and things, and scrapped the shell, I assume. But thankfully, I've stayed clear of most of those. But Furious Driving has an old Mini. Yes, I did see it. It's on my to view list, which seems to be getting longer and longer every day. But I did see it. It seems to be a fairly early one as well, so it'll be interesting to watch that one.
Is that Mark II from what I remember?
It's Mark II, yeah. I think he says a 67, or 68. It's a late 67 or early 68, I think. So it's a Mark II,
yeah. Sorry.
What's Millie?
She is. Come on, she Mark 4, 5, something like that. I lose track of them because they just.
Millie, yeah, I think it's Mark. What is 91, isn't it? So
91, yeah.
Mark 4, 5.
Because they all sort of slot in, don't they, all together? There's not really a huge amount of change between the marks of that era.
No, there's not. To be fair, I kind of refer to them after the Mark II. I refer to them all as Mark IIIs because like there's so little changes between a 1970 Mini and a 97 Mini. Okay, there's a lot of panels are different, a few things, but inherently it's the same car. So I just refer to them all as Mark IIIs, but that's just for ease of or my own
funny,
mentality.
What was it, 2 years ago or so, you and I made a mini guide between our channels. And
yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't even remember it. I'm actually just going to look up Furious Driving's channel here. I think it's just to be sure. This actually has me intrigued as to what model it actually is.
But yeah, many of the Mark III onward panels will actually fit cars that went up to the 2000s. It's quite amazing.
Yeah,
really.
Most of them, yeah. I think. See, I had a 94 Mini Tahiti. It was 94 registered Mini Tahiti, limited edition, and it had an inner wing fan. So the inner wing, the passenger side inner wing is different. And then you got the later ones with front mounted radiators. The front panel's different, and so there's minor adjustments, but that panel will still fit your other car. So let's see now. Oh, it seems to be going quite a while to find this Mini.
Mark says, other than the very late Cooper Sports, I always felt anything after the Mark III Mini looked the same. So
yeah, no, totally, yeah. Yeah, that was that. I see that as well. That whenever they went to the 97 on Mini, which was the last of the line Minis, and whenever they put the big arches on the 13-inch wheels, that was a fairly major design change in my eyes. So that went because with time they got airbags and side impact protection, and that's when we went with the front mounted radiators and so on. So there was a lot of different changes there. Granted, yes, the doors on an 87 Mini will still fit Millie, or the front panel will still fit my Mini, but there's a lot of inherent changes in them. But even if you look at, say, between my Mini and Cooper of the same year, the front panel is different because they have a cutout on the Cooper S for the oil cooler, and because of that, the little strengthening bar between the upper and bottom sections is actually sits at an angle, so it'll clear the oil cooler. So even back in the 60s, there were still inherent differences between models. So, but it's the same as every car dealer is today. At the store, car manufacturer today, it's still the same. So, but yeah, actually, I think it is more.
I mean, if you look at cars today that are all fairly similar, say the Seat Me, Skoda Citigo, Volkswagen Up, that sort of thing. There's not really a huge amount of difference really behind the badging, is there? Really, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, totally. Because you see, they've been going back into the mid '90s. If you think too, sure, you've got the was it the Ford Galaxy, the Seat Alhambra,
yeah,
the Volkswagen Chiron are all exactly the same cars. I think maybe the Ford runs obviously a Ford engine, but I think the other two are also running Volkswagen engines. But they're all the same car, barring the badging. But that was the same though. If you look at any of the BMC or even go to the Roots Group cars, they were the same. If you look at even like the Hillman Imp, Hillman Imp, Singer, Chamois, and so on. Like they're all the same, but just maybe slightly different trim levels and things like that, but inherently the same car.
I remember when those Seats and Fords and Volkswagens, they were all everywhere at one point. Now they've all gone.
Yeah.
I suppose you probably see those sort of things at places like maybe Festival of the Unexceptional or whatever. That's been a big talking point lately, hasn't it? Really, with a lot of people in the car scene. Festival of the Unexceptional. That's pretty much one of the highlights of the year for many people. We've never been.
No.
I want to go one year, but I feel like the car I want to take isn't ready yet.
It isn't working.
To say the least.
Yeah.
It does work. It's just not quite road legal, shall we say.
So just saying back here again. From memory, the tail lights presuming they're original kit, or the giveaways Mark 1s and 2s and 3s, all different lights, and Mark 3 ons. Yeah, I got doors out and turtle hinges. Yeah, that's right. Well, actually, the first cars to get wind down windows was actually the Riley Alf and the Wolseley Hornet, so which incidentally are different doors to the Mark 3 minis. So actually, they don't fit. So even though they've got winding windows and then they look the same, they are actually different. But yeah, the Mark 2 and early Mark, if you want to be pedantic, the Mark 3s and the Mark 2s had the same taillights. So the Mark 4, that was whenever they went with the reversing light into the cluster. But they still carried on the smaller light in the base model. So obviously in the City, the Mark 4 City still had a Mark 2 taillight. A few things, but as with all things, like the base models kind of had things from the past and didn't get caught up with the more modern stuff. But yeah, and I expect many newer minis have been dated. But yeah, that's totally true. Well, I did that as well. My Raleigh Mini in the other photo on the wall here was 87, but I had it completely to a Mark 1. So I had to look along the lines of a 62, 63 car. So I had Mark 1 lights, Mark 1 grill, and everything in it. So yeah, it's a big scene to make your car look older now as well.
Yeah,
but
it's
you have. Sorry,
the Cooper cars as well. Obviously, Saloon. That was the only car that was a Cooper at one point.
Yes. Yeah.
You've made your car into a Cooper S Traveller.
Yeah, there were never. Yes, so the idea I went for, there never was a Cooper S Traveller officially.
Yeah.
Cooper Car Company with John Cooper at the helm did produce some under license, I think it was. So the Mini Traveller Cooper had Cooper S's. Steve McQueen had one, Clint Eastwood had one, and there's a few other celebrities would have had them. I think it only made a handful, maybe a dozen or so. But my idea was how a Cooper S Traveller would have looked had they produced it. So
and they decided to go, you know what, fast practical estate.
Yeah. So that was where it's come from. So, like, I think I said in one of my videos, every mini is different. There's no two minis are the same. So, it's always been that way, and it'll always be that way. Everybody's puts their little stamp on it, whether it's to make a newer car look older or to create their own. Like I did create my own model, and or I see other ones there as well. I think it was actually, there is an Instagram page where it was featured in Mini Magazine. I think it was back in the 70s. It was produced. Somebody created it. So they took a mini Clubman estate. They put van sides in it and a Wolseley Hornet front end on it, and a lot of other little design features like a number plate flap, fuel filler flap, and so on. And they actually have it. It might be actually registered as a Wolseley van. I'm not sure. I think it was done in the 70s. Might be wrong in how it's registered, but it's been designed as a Wolseley Hornet van as well. So, but you look at these things have been done for years, and the 70s and the 80s seem to be the big time for doing these mad different projects, which is something I kind of hark back to, which with my car is kind of what probably would have been done back in the 80s. I kind of like that style, but it was each to their own.
Yeah, it's funny you say that with the Wolseley front end being put on the Clubman estate, which obviously was then turned to a van. Because when we went to Himley Hall last year, it's weird saying that now. It's only been one day into the new year. But yeah, when we went to Himley Hall, there was actually a South African originally registered Wolseley 1000. But obviously, it's just a mini saloon, but with a Wolseley front end on it.
Yeah. There also then was the South African Mini Mark III. Was a Mark III Mini, but with a Riley tail. So actually, is a proper 3-box design Mini. Then is that the one you're talking about, or else was it the Wolseley Hornet with a saloon back?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So they did the two. Yeah. So you had the Wolseley with the saloon back, but you had the saloon with a Riley back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite confusing, isn't it, really, when you look at it? I mean, Mini obviously produced pretty much all over the world, Australia especially, and obviously South Africa and everywhere else.
Yeah.
But it's funny how you got these things with different parts mishmashed together.
Yeah.
Well, should we have a look at see the comments?
We've got some people not too much of a fan of the modern minis.
Oh, sorry, Matt. Yeah, for
Yeah,
those
yeah. Again,
he's just bought himself an R53.
but yeah, again, they have their own following as well, which is good to see. Like, it is like the earliest ones of those are going 20. When they come out 21, so like 22 years now. The very original ones, so the first generation. So it is a classic car now in some shape or form. Um, I have to admit, at the beginning, I wasn't a fan, but my wife wanted a Mini, and so she kept on looking at Mini anyway, and of course I gave in and let her buy one. And to be fair, I love it now that she has a Mark III. It's the F56, I think is the correct term for it. So it's a third generation Cooper, and I actually love it. It's a great little car to drive, and I think in my opinion, I think in all of the modern Minis that I've driven, hers is one of the closest in the driving experience to the classic Mini.
Really?
Yeah, I probably broke the internet by saying that, but it's, in my opinion anyway, I think it is. I know it seems to have maybe the most of the essence, I think, maybe of what the original Mini was, but yeah, it's huge compared to even the Traveller, which is the big Mini in its day, is tiny compared to it. Like it is still a big car, and if you look at the modern Mini Countryman, yeah, they're still a great car, and they do have a huge following. And I think in some ways we kind of it nearly pains me to say it, being from like a total original mini nut, that we kind of need to move with the times a little bit. And without, I think without the mini themselves, we probably wouldn't have the same, I don't know, atmosphere. I think in some of the shows, our shows would be a lot smaller, and I think it's brought more people into the mini scene, which is good. And there's a lot of new mini owners that I know now have now gone and bought classic minis as well, because they've started taking their modern mini to the mini shows and got hooked, and are now looking for classic minis. So which is good as well. So there's more classic minis being saved now as well, which I think maybe most of our cars are getting old, and like I said, the earliest modern Mini is now 22 years old. That now says the youngest classic Mini is now 22 years old as well. So, and they're just going to get older. So, yeah, I think we just have to move with the times. But pains me to say it, but I think we have to go there.
Yeah, I've actually got a I think R60, the first gen Clubman. Sorry, Countryman, not Clubman. Is it that one? I need to get up on these terminologies.
I don't know the term. Yeah,
got one of those to review at some point on the channel, so that should be good fun. Seeing how that's different, I suppose, to the classic, especially as really that's the only Mini I've driven. I've driven a Mini electric a couple of times now.
Yeah.
So I've actually got that video to come up on the channel still. There's quite a lot of backlog, really, when you look at it.
Yeah, I've had a short drive in the Mini Electric. It was impressive. I didn't get a huge drive in it. It was whenever I was doing. I did a bit of a tour of our local mini dealership. Had up in Chalmers. Must be gear going nearly 2 years ago, I think now. And anyway, the salesman there I know only let me drive his electric that he had as a company car, and it was an impressive car. I just couldn't get used to call it. You lift off the brake car. Right, there was the regen. I couldn't get used to the regen, but he says you can't switch it off, but you can change how quickly it comes in. But yeah, it was nice. I'd like to get a really good review of it. I would like to get one for like 48 hours test drive or something, and give it a really good road test to see what it's like. Because I'd be curious to know what it's like to live with an electric car for a while. So, but we'll see. Petrol to go electric, I think.
Yeah, especially with a lot of people talking about how electric cars are the future and how it's obviously going to be, I guess, the main cars people be driving in maybe 10, 20 years' time. I know I say that, it seems like quite far away, but it really isn't now,
But if you think it's that kind of thing, unless we keep hold of the petrols and the diesels and classics and whatever, by the time like Ian's son's generation's driving,
Well,
it will all be electric. There'll be nothing else. And, he'll learn to drive in an electric car, and driving a petrol car, probably a manual car as well, will be old hat. It won't even happen. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's another YouTube channel I've come across. It's a Grindhouse Performance, it's called. He's in America. He's building a 240Z and putting an LS into it and a few things. But he actually has some really cool merch, and he actually has a T-shirt. Was it? Remember that was it? Whenever the Trump campaign was it? Let's make America great again. He's got Let's make manuals great again. Because obviously with electric cars now as well, they're all automatic. So like you're saying, going to be like the art of driving a manual is going to get lost on the future generation coming, because like it's going to get to the point where once internal combustion is gone, we're going to lose manual gears as well. So yeah, I thought that was quite funny. Like so.
Yeah, that's very true. I guess it's a sign of the times that we are heading that way, but unfortunately, we've all
it's very lazy, though, isn't it? It'll just become very lazy drivers.
I like electric. I like automatic. Like I had an S-Type Jaguar for a while, and it was 2.5 V6, and it was automatic, but it kind of made sense in that car. It was a big car, big lazy car, but had all the power you needed it, and the automatic gearbox, and it was a 7-speed automatic, and it had all the power it needed. The gearbox could handle it and a few things, and it could change gear quicker than I could. And it all made sense in that car. But with smaller cars, I don't see the point, to be fair. Except in electric, it makes sense with electric. But I don't know how you couldn't really use a manual in electric. But I'm sure there's some way around it. But that's something I'll invent.
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few, I guess, older cars now being converted to electric. I mean, there are certain companies out there that actually do it for a living.
Yeah.
And they've turned out pretty well, especially with the ones which, if you look at it this way, electric motor, instant torque, probably extremely likely to have a lot more power than the car ever would have had standard. So I can see the idea behind the upgrades. Would I do it to Millie? No, not unless I had to. The noise is part of the character.
Yeah, totally. The problem is, if you put an electric into Mini, you're not going to lose your noises, because the engine is covering all the rattles and squeaks and clunks that a Mini normally has. So you're going to hear all those if you put an electric motor into it. So
yeah.
Coroner Street in here had 3 classic Minis at the same time when I was 18. Yeah, I've been there. I think my 3 at a time was my record. And I'm hoping to get another one this year. I've been bitten by the mini bug over 18 years. Yeah, go for it. Now's the time to buy them. Well,
there's no
better time to buy them than now, because every day the prices are going up. Give it another year, prices are going to soar again. So, yeah, now's the time to buy them. I gave it an R50 something. It was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever sat in. Yeah, that is one thing about the BMW Minis, and even my wife's one as well wouldn't be the most comfortable. Right, the seats are not brilliant, but yeah, not the worst I've ever sat on, but they're not great.
No.
So yeah, totally get you that. Yeah, art of driving. Yeah, totally agree. The art of driving is definitely going away. It's just becoming something we do now rather than something we can enjoy.
Yeah, people don't really go for a drive of a Sunday afternoon anymore, do they? You don't go out to drive, you go out to do something, and you just happen to drive to get there.
Yeah. The days of just going to drive around the coast road or forest trail or something, yeah, they're starting to die away now. So it's unfortunate.
Shame.
Well, it is, because I enjoy driving.
Yeah, I know you do, and I enjoy being a passenger. But no, I like driving as well, but I don't like driving in the same way that you do. I like my commute to work, which is half an hour, there and back. So it's quite nice, and especially coming from your house, it's a nice kind of slightly more rural roads, and I've seen deer in the morning and all that kind of stuff, but I enjoy that. But again, obviously, even then, the drive has a purpose. So I don't know.
Whereas I'll just jump in the Mini and go right off to the New Forest.
Yeah, and just go for a drive, which I do enjoy, but I think I just wouldn't do it by myself. But then maybe it's just because I wouldn't do it by myself.
Maybe.
The thing I kind of see a bit of a shame coming is in motorsport. Obviously we'll have the new electric classes that come in, even in rallying. There's starting to be some electric rallying. We have the Formula E and other areas. Even there's electric rallycross, I think, as well.
Yeah, there's Extreme E, isn't there? Now?
Yeah. But the thing I'm seeing is for the grassroots motorsport. So like the auto testing and the target rallies that I do or did and hope to do again very soon. Even like Kevin there, the Gentleman's Motor Racing Team, his auto testing that he does. I can't see how that's going to work with electric. It'll probably, as years come on, it'll kind of develop, but at the minute, it's not. I don't see it being something feasible. And the problem is we're losing the cars that we can do that in. Because especially now we're getting into the era of electric handbrakes as well. So for auto testing, obviously you need the handbrake. Electric handbrakes won't work for auto testing. You can't really get a handbrake turn with electric handbrake the same. It's like as it's an on-off switch.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so I see the world of grassroots motorsport is going to start to decline now as well, which is unfortunate as well, because it, especially in auto testing, if I'm assuming everybody here probably knows roughly what it is. Obviously, it's a great car control for around, if you're going around your the different pylons of the cones, your handbrake turns, your nose throws, it gives great car control, and I think it's a great art for anybody learning to drive, even to dabble with it. I think you can start out for 14, so even to dabble with it for a few years to get your driving license, a few things, it really helps. And that, unfortunately, I think we're going to lose. But as we said, it's just the sign of the times, unfortunately.
It is, yeah. It's interesting you bring that up about the electronic handbrake, because you don't really think about that sort of thing usually. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it personally. I'd much prefer like a manual handbrake.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird driving experience.
I mean, I'm sure once you're used to it, it's something that you just sort of get used to it, and it's in the background of your life. But as you say, for competition use, it's no use at all, really.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering when it kind of became mainstream, because I know my Jaguar, it had an electric one. It was 2002, and it had an electric. 2003, it had electric handbrake. But I think maybe at that time it was more the luxurious, the higher marks that maybe used them. But I was surprised that my Leon, actually it's 2015, the Leon doesn't have, but then my 2012 Insignia did. So I wonder when it's going to become mainstream at all. Manufacturers will go electric.
I think what Mum's Fiat's got.
That's probably a manual handbrake, isn't it? Because the small city cars, I think, at the minute are still mainly.
It seem to be, yeah, because that's what's in like my wife's Mini. It still has, but then I think, is it the new model that's coming out? It's going electronic, because I know the Countryman's electronic, and I think the Clubman is as well. I think the current model one, and I think the 4th gen hatchback, I think, is as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. So it seems to be starting to go down into the city car class, is starting to get that as well. So.
Yeah, because the Corsa that I had as a courtesy car, that had a electric handbrake. And I was just pressing it and hoping that it'd do something. I've got no idea quite what was up was down and down was up, and I was very confused.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, yeah, because I had a Corsa when I went to I forgot Castlecombe and Bewley that time. I had a Corsa and it had electronic as well. So, which it's was somebody there yesterday. Yeah, electronic. Mark said electronic prop back eventually failed. I did hear that the mechanic that I know was never had my Insignia. Obviously, I try to do all my own servicing, but I don't have the tool for resetting the electronic handbrake on the Insignia. So I got a friend of mine to do it, and he said himself as well. He was working on one the week before my car, and because he actually said to me, "Has it failed?" And I said, "No, it hasn't." He says, "That's good." He says, "Because why I had one here that failed. The guy had been driving on the motorway, and he says thankfully he wasn't doing any more than 50 miles an hour, and the handbrake switched on while he was on the motorway." And completely flat bottomed the weight of the tires down to canvas before he got the car onto the hard shoulder.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so that it just switched the handbrake on. So yeah, that's hopefully that's a very, very rare occurrence.
Yeah, hopefully. I haven't heard of anybody else doing that, but I'm sure there are other cases out there. But nothing within my, I guess, circle, shall we say.
No. Mark, I had an Elite, I think it was called, Corsa. That's my brain from trying to remember the
info
from doing a review that nobody's seen because it's not very good.
Not yet, anyway.
But yeah, I think it wasn't the basic; it was the middle spec.
You might be right, yeah, because I had the one they gave me was an SRI, and it had electronics, so yeah. But,
we're just reading the comments.
Yeah.
Actually, another thing which I thought about as well with electronic handbrakes was another. It's more of a bugbear of mine with. It's more affects our Mini than it does my car because it's a frameless frameless doors.
Mm-hmm.
When we had the hard frost, we couldn't get the door open.
Oh, of course, because the window wouldn't come.
Because obviously the glass goes up into the little recess and it froze, and we couldn't actually get the door open. So it was in and out with with hot water trying to get it cleared. But the other thing was as well, because it was so cold, the handbrake froze. So that was fine on obviously a manual handbrake. I was able to get it up and down and rock the car back and forth and get it released. But on electronic handbrake, probably wouldn't be able to do that.
No.
So yeah, in very very cold weather, it could. That could be a problem, which actually I saw on the news as well about the was it the Teslas, their was it their refueling hatch, the hatch for getting access to the port, they were froze solid as well, so they wouldn't open. On the door handles wouldn't open as well, but then that's going to affect because they're the recessed door handles.
Yeah, they might disappear.
Yeah, but then that's what the same thing like Land Rover, Jaguar, a few other makes starting to use those now as well, which they don't pop out anymore too. So cars are getting.
It's only good if you live in a warm place that doesn't freeze.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the problem is cars are getting so designed. Car designers get all these little designs into the cars. They're not thinking practicality anymore.
No, they're not.
Yeah, so they're thinking of the cars that sell in California and places like that. They don't think of
what we need in England or Northern Ireland or whatever.
Yeah. More Norway.
I read that last week on the news. I thought it was an interesting one, but then it really is. It always irritates me. Whenever we have frost here, that my wife can't get her door open, but I can. So I used to have to park her car closest to the house to try to steal some heat from the house.
Yeah. You really don't think about that sort of thing until it starts to affect you.
I found it parked here. If I park out the front of the house, it's far more frosty and all kind of the windows even then are all kind of iced up and the handles are obviously icy. But if I park near the hedge, it's so much better because you just deflect over the top.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't get icy.
Interesting. So I found when I parked on in front of the house, because the sun comes up, it defrosts all the windows.
Before the sun's up.
Well, that's true.
Or up properly, so it's fine. But yeah, hiding behind the bush is always the way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but yeah, we never actually asked how are your projects going, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a huge amount in the way of projects at the minute. We have actually started on the C5, although nothing has come up on the channel yet, video-wise. But that's currently underway. Stuff's happening a bit slowly because need to do basically a bit of development work on it. But hopefully within the next few weeks, I guess, that'll all come together, and it's actually not going to be a huge project.
No, I think also you've enjoyed having it as a bit of a. Although you have made videos, you've enjoyed doing it just like personally, without having the pressure of editing and uploading the videos, which is quite nice.
Having to upload it on a specific day, yeah.
Yeah, because I know you've obviously been sending me a few WhatsApp pictures and things of what you're doing, and it's coming together well. I don't want to give anything away, but what you've shown me has been really good. So it'll be interesting to see it all come together.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it all come together because I've never had a C5. I've always wanted one.
Yeah.
As long as I can
I'm just excited to have a go in it.
Yeah, I had a go in one that was pedal only at Radwood earlier this year.
Yeah.
But obviously no electric on that particular one because the guy who brought it along didn't bring a battery for it, and I think he said the electronics on that particular one was having a few little minor hiccups. But pedaling it around, I realise I'm not as fit as I thought I was.
I never even sat in the C5, so
I know it's surprising because obviously I got mine back on the road again after so many years off, and it is surprising. Mine's only pedal power at the minute, and it is surprising how much effort it takes.
It's a funny angle as well, isn't it? You're kind of
I kind of forgot what it's like to sit in it, because the last time I probably cycled and pedaled it, I was probably 5 foot something, and like I'm 6'3". So it's realize that my knees are around my ears, so it's an interesting.
Yeah. Yes, you'll be tall.
Okay.
Yeah. If not, we'll put some wooden blocks.
Yeah, I was just saying I have to block the pedals.
Yeah. But I've got the motor has been rewound. The original motor has been rewound, and it's ready to go again. I just need batteries. But what I'm going to do is upgrade it. Dad did it on his project to a hand throttle rather than the little press button. So I'm going to do that upgrade on it, hopefully over in the springtime or beforehand. And we need to get Dad's finished as well. I think we have sorted the gearing issue on his. It's obviously his is only motor power, only electric now, and it obviously has his own design and everything. So his driving position is different. He's raised you probably saw it in my videos. He's raised the handlebars to above your knees, so it's rather than below it, and it's a very different riding style, and it's interesting.
Of course, you painted it orange, haven't you, as well?
Yeah, and it's orange. Yeah, so it's a BMW. What's it called? I think it's BMW Volcano Yellow. I think it is.
It's a mini color, isn't it?
It's a mini color, BMW mini color. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to finish it. It kind of got put in the back burner with other bits and pieces, and just with the colder weather, didn't fancy going into the garage, and then just with coming into the winter and COVID and so on, we never got finished on the new project car as well. So so it's a little side project, but probably not do much filming on it. I'll probably just unveil this is it now, finished sort of thing. So
yeah. I think the only other projects we got with us are the obvious one, the Renault, but that's not got anything going on in the near future, I'd imagine. Just need to get the axle sorted and try and find somewhere we can actually take it to replace the axle. Of course, trying to get it up onto a ramp, not easy if you don't have one accessible to you. The only other thing really is modifying the trailer, I suppose, to transport the C5 into shows. Other than that, really, there isn't really that many projects going on at the minute, because the Mini's as good as it can be for now. The Fiat is proving reliable. Your Fiat's proving reliable. Yep. Which I know all the jokes are out there. Fiat, fix it again tomorrow, ha 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 ha. But
yeah, they do.
They have actually proven to be extremely reliable cars, especially with obviously the fire engine that's in it. Not that they'll come and put a fire out of your house anytime soon. But obviously engine fire series of engines. Really reliable things. They've been around since the 1980s. They've got rid of all the problems. But obviously a couple of years ago they actually got rid of that engine now. So no more.
Yeah,
I think it's just the T-Jet now for the Abarth, and even then that's being phased out now because they've got an electric Abarth coming. So that'll be coming up in the next couple of years, I'm sure.
Any shows on the horizon? Well, I know the BMC mini show at the NEC is coming up in the next couple of weeks. I think, I'm not sure the exact date. I think it's definitely in January, end of January. So it'll be good. Fortunately, I'm not going to it. One of the fellows in our WhatsApp group is going to it, and he's kind of making me jealous. I'd love to go myself. It's one I've never been to, and then he told me the price of his flights and everything, and it really makes me want to go. So maybe next year. The first show, if anybody on the chat here who isn't from Northern Ireland wants to come over, it is a fantastic show with Dub Shed. I have my entry in for it. It's, I suppose as the title goes, it's a Volkswagen show. So any of the VAG group cars is the mainstay of it, but they have a hall which is specifically for other makes. So I have my application in for the Traveller. It's an invite-only type deal because obviously they've limited space, so it's selected cars only. So fingers crossed, then we get the travel into that. So it's in May, so it'll be end of April, beginning of May. So
that's really good.
You're a bit early on shows at the moment, I think, aren't we? It's not really. Things are inside, but like we've got, I know Bingley Hall is the other mini one that's
Stafford.
Yeah, which is kind of, it comes up at the end of January. It's kind of
it's the beginning of show season.
Yeah,
really,
well, it's kind of the buy everything so that you can fix it before it's show season, isn't it?
Maybe that's the show I'm thinking of. I thought maybe it was in the NEC. Yeah, that's actually wrong. You're probably that's right. Bingley Hall.
Yeah, but I don't think well, I'm definitely not going to. I've already got something booked on that day, but I know.
I might go, but the problem is because the mini's actually okay at the minute. There's not really anything I need.
No.
And given I've now had it for what 4 years nearly.
Yeah.
It's really been that long. I've got it to a point where I'm happy with it, so I don't need to go off and buy.
It's also quite far away to go. If you know that it's something that you can get at like mini spares or whatever, it's.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'm quite lucky in the sense that I've now got a friend who's actually moved to Stafford in the last year. So he has said if I ever want to come up and stay, just drop him a message and we can, stay there. So it does make it cheaper in that aspect. But at the same time, you still got obviously petrol, diesel costs, whatever.
How big the part is as well. If it's cheaper to post it, then it's cheaper to buy it and post it like that, isn't it? So.
Yeah, that is a huge stumbling block over here because we are really getting hit with the carriage costs because we're such a small country. We don't really have any specialist companies over here really, for things. So we always have to get things from the mainland, and it always gets it's fairly expensive to get over here, and generally can take quite some time as well, which is a pain. So yeah, the small thing that I have coming from mini spares is ordered now 3 weeks, and I still haven't got it. So,
is it cheaper to get sent to somewhere on the mainland and sent over?
It would have been, yeah. So,
but you could be the sorting office.
There we
go. Just this massive, great, big thing to them. Oh gosh!
Yeah, what have you bought now? I've just bought a mini shell. Don't worry.
Yeah, if it was a mini shell, I would understand why it would take 3 weeks to come over here, but not the small boxes coming in. But anyway, yeah, it'll be exciting when it comes. So yeah, but yeah, the shows here don't start until April, end of April, beginning of May. Yeah. We don't have that many indoor shows, so we just have to rely on the weather changing. Whenever people start bringing their cars out after the salty weather. So So
we've got something booked in the end of February that we're sort of looking at in a minute, but other than that, I think April is probably the first time we'll get to a proper show. End of March, April time.
Yeah. So really between now and then we're going to be filling our time realistically with probably reviews and just small little repairs and changes we want to make to the cars and just anything else,
And also, I think after we learned from last year about how much content we were getting out there and that kind of thing, and trying to balance work and life and YouTube, trying to get ahead. Now that we know what we're doing, it's kind of like, okay, let's get a bit more organised.
Yeah, no, I totally agree on that because I've realised now that, granted, I haven't been attending as many shows as you have, but I'm just doing everything by myself as well, and I find like I didn't have enough time. Well, I didn't really feel like putting the same effort in. So I think this year I'm intending to do less shows, or film less shows. Put it that way. I might still attend the other ones, but I might kind of film the mainstay ones and the little infill ones, because generally speaking, because again we're such a small country, I go to this show on a Saturday, and then I go to this show the next Saturday. I'll probably still see the same cars.
Yeah.
More than
yeah. So I think I'll stick to the bigger shows. There might only be 3 or 4 or 5 videos of shows this year, and I'll go and enjoy the other ones. I'll be putting photos up on Instagram or something. That'll be the height of it. But I kind of want, I think I want to concentrate now on trying to do better videos and improve the videography, and concentrate on my mini review series as well, which I have quite a few ideas up my sleeve, which I probably could fill my YouTube channel with, and only have them, and then do the shows as a kind of little side project type idea. So, and that's kind of the idea. But as I said, as a kind of like a sneaky preview, just for those listening, Jake did a review of Millie, which will be coming up on my channel in a few weeks. And I have to say, the videography in that has kind of made me have to up my game online a little bit. So, yeah, at least with the intro section of it as well, I really need to up my game. So, it's going to be a hard one to beat. So,
that was the only time I got out the car.
It was, yeah. Yeah, you came with me to film the intro for it.
See, I was ill then as well, so I wasn't feeling great. You're quite lucky not to have some coughing in the background of that one, I think.
Yeah, just I'm filming the car and there's just you like.
Yeah, well, I had to I was doing, I think I was doing the second episode of my dad's project car, and I had to do about half a dozen retakes because I was halfway through doing it. I hadn't realized at the time that was me starting to get COVID. And I was starting to get the symptoms of COVID, and I would get halfway through the little segment that I wanted, and then I get a big bout of coughing, and I had to start the whole thing all over again. So, yeah. Oh.
Simone's put in the chat here, I'm booked for the NEC. I'm curious, is that the Practical Classics show in March?
Isn't it? Yeah.
Because that's one that we have looked at, maybe trying to get to as well.
It's a restoration show, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I get confused between the one that we went to and that one. Yeah.
That was the classic car
show. The restoration shows early in the year, and then it's the classic car shows at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one I'd like to go to that one as well sometime. But
restoration show. Yeah,
that's something we have looked at, trying to get to, but it's just
a
lot of things happen in March in like our lives as well. The birthdays take up a lot of March, so it's trying to fit it in the middle. And as much as I like cars, I'm not going to car shows on my birthday.
No, I've seen a lot on YouTube this last year. I didn't really notice as much in other years, so maybe it's just whatever channels I'm looking. There's been a lot of SEMA coverage this year over in Las Vegas, because even Adam C was in Las Vegas at SEMA, and there's a few other of the British YouTubers around as well. And I mean, that is on my bucket list. I have to get to SEMA at some point.
Maybe 24, 25?
Oh, maybe 34 or 35. Maybe as a retirement present for me, I can go. But yeah, it looked amazing because there's been a few. I was saying the Grindhouse performance that I started following there and building the 240Z. He was at SEMA, and then there was Mike from Stance Works, but his Honda Part Ferrari SEMA. It's the quality of builds over there, which I that go to SEMA. I really would love to see. So I think in some ways, especially in this little country, we don't have a huge variety of really cool stuff. And there's more so obviously across the water. We use that whenever we went to likes of even Simply British in Bewley, the standard of builds and things over there are fantastic. And I think even in America they take it to such a higher level. That's why it's definitely at the top of my list of places to go. And I have a friend who lives in America, but unfortunately he lives on the wrong side of America. So
a bit closer though.
Yeah, a bit. If he would move a bit closer to Las Vegas, would be much better for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to America at some point. I've never been to the US anywhere in this. I would quite like to go and just see what it was like.
You just have to not eat for a week before you go, I think.
I was with my friend. He was originally from Belfast, and he married an American girl, and they live in just outside Tampa in Florida. And I was over there for his wedding. I was best man at his wedding, and I'd love to have gone. It just worked out. The date that they had picked, it had just NASCAR season had just finished 2 weeks beforehand. And I had this thing. I'd love to go watch a NASCAR race. Like, I've seen it on TV, and it is really boring. But I think the atmosphere to go and watch, I think to watch it live, the atmosphere must be amazing. You've got 100,000 people watching the Oval, and I'd love to go to that. And there's also the Richard Petty driving school happened to be just up the road as well. And unfortunately, it was closed the weekend that we were over. So, and you even can take a NASCAR 200 miles an hour around the oval, and it would be an amazing adventure. But someday
you'll take that
one
off.
Day.
Take it off the bucket list one day.
Yeah.
One day.
Well, if we win the lottery, we know what to give Ian as a present.
Yeah, trip over there.
I've done the Aston Martin drive around Silverstone, so that was one ticked off the list. So.
Yeah. I've just realised something. We haven't said what we did in December. What have we been up to?
We've been thrown off entirely, different format and everything.
I know.
What did we do in December then, Jake? You crack on.
Oh, what did we do? We went to a couple of shows, actually. Not too many.
I didn't go to any.
Yes, you were ill.
No, before that,
also unavailable.
I was singing.
Unavailable because of other things coming up. But yeah, went to a show a week before Christmas called the Pride and Joy Meet. Got a video of that coming up some point very, very soon in January. Also went to a Boxing Day car show, which again got a video of that coming up in January. Managed to catch up with a young driver of an Audi 80, so he'll be featuring on the channel as a brief video. I want to try and bring back the As Told By series in 2023.
I was going to say 2024 then. I was like, why are we planning
ahead? Whole year ahead. No, I want to try and bring that back somewhat because I actually quite enjoyed that style of video. I tried it a bit more in 2021. Didn't really do any, if any, at all this last year. But 2023, want to try and, I guess, revise the format, bring it back a bit because I really quite enjoyed that because it's great hearing other people talk about their cars because they know pretty much every single little detail there is about the car. As much as I can say, this is a whatever, tell you about the engine size and everything, they can say, I bought it for this reason, and that was to go to.
Well, even like Ian's just done with the Traveller, isn't it? Just told us the whole story about like how you got it and where you got it from and that kind of thing. It's that's the nice side of it, rather than just learning about the engine or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that was my whole idea when I was doing the viewers' drives. That is getting the owner to tell me about their car, which I know sometimes the owner doesn't really like being on camera, so you kind of have to work around it. But I'm glad that Philip, who was on here, he was more than happy to be on camera and tell me all about his Mini and how it came to be. But then when I did the Mini Haha, my Christmas special on Christmas Day, that Andy, who owns the car, was more than happy to sit down and tell me all about it and where it came from, and like his son as well. I was over the moon to be on camera, and it was like him becoming a film star for the day.
Yeah.
But it is nice to get the personal touch coming into it.
I watched that on Christmas Day.
Did you?
Yep. Whilst dinner was cooking, it was on.
Yeah, I watched both of them.
And Dad said that it was a Mini for me because it's small. Thanks.
Probably the smallest Mini, probably the shortest Mini in existence.
So. Shortest Mini shorty.
Yeah, it's short with 2 feet and 7 inches.
Yeah. I think so. You can reach the pedals in Mini. So
I can reach the pedals in Mini, and I don't have to change it from your driving.
No, you don't.
Really, so
I got the seat all the way back for me because I'm quite long legs. But you managed quite well in that, I thought. Yeah. Also.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. Obviously, the main thing we did in, I guess, December was go and see the Festive Mini.
Yeah. On the topic of minis.
Yeah, we're keeping with the mini theme tonight with this. It wasn't meant to be a mini edition.
No, but we've done a very good job of keeping to the minis.
No, we went to go and see the Festive Mini, which was our Christmas special. We thought, obviously, previous year we'd done the mini guide, obviously, with you in 2020, and 2021 did the Lap of Lights around Silverstone. Thought we'd do something a little bit different and follow something that was obviously there for a worthy cause. Raising money for the MS Trust?
MS Trust and Duchenne UK.
Yes. So we've known Nico a little while now, the guy who's actually behind the idea of the Festive Mini. We've actually wanted to film the Festive Mini for the last couple of years, but for one reason or another, our schedules didn't quite match up.
Yeah.
But this year we were quite lucky to actually be able to find a date that worked for us both and actually meet up with him. And it was actually a really pleasant evening, I thought.
It was. Yeah, it was really nice.
Because obviously he was actually there raising money that evening for charity, and we just sort of went along and filmed him for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with the way the video turned out.
Yeah. So it's a good video. Sorry, we're getting buzzes from Instagram. But no, yeah, I think it was a good video, and I think also from my perspective of kind of being a little bit more in the background, watching you get more confident with the stuff that you are, not only the confidence of the stuff that you're producing, but kind of getting more confident on camera means that you can produce more things like that, which means that inevitably you're going to have even better content. And I think as the year goes on, you'll probably see more of that, which I think is quite nice.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that style of video that you did as well, because I was thinking the same thing, because I'm getting my confidence better and more and more in doing my videos in front of other people, but you're doing it in front of the general public as well, that shopping centre as well. I thought, oh wow, I couldn't do that. Not yet.
For me, that's the bit I wouldn't be fazed with. I just don't know the ins and outs of the stuff. If it was something that I liked doing, or I was probably working in school and standing in front of a class of 30 children. I'm not fazed by the public. It's more sitting in a room by myself and talking to the camera would freak me out more, because I'd overthink it, I think. But
yeah,
between us, we're a good little presenting team.
No, I will say that's one thing I've noticed with a lot of people on YouTube is, unless obviously they're a really, really large channel at this point, or they've been doing it for quite a long time, confidence is something that I think everybody struggles with to begin with.
But also everybody generally in the general public is nervous about talking in front of people, because
in case they screw up.
Yeah, in case you make a mistake or you accidentally offend somebody or something like that. And you're talking, especially with something like the Festive Mini, you're talking about something that means a lot to someone and is in place to raise money for charity, that's then potentially going to be seeing it and affecting whoever. So you definitely don't want to make a mistake or get something wrong with that. But I think, just I'm proud of you, watching you like make that kind of stuff.
Stop.
No, but it's that kind of thing of like knowing that, having practiced that for a year, kind of we've said right from the beginning that kind of this last year of Fuel Power has kind of been a bit of a practice year for us to sort of see where we're at and where our skill sets lie, and don't ever get Genevieve to edit because she's rubbish. But
I never said that, by the way.
No, I said it myself. It's fine. But I know now that I need to put a bit more effort into the background side of it, because I'm a bit more confident with the presenting side, provided I have the information.
Yeah.
Whereas you're kind of the opposite.
Yeah. Also, hello, Kev. Nice to have you join us. I was going to say that, I mean, before doing anything even remotely YouTube-wise, I used to work in the entertainment industry.
That makes you sound like works in like.
No, I didn't work
Butlins.
I didn't work in Butlins or a brothel or anything like that. Don't worry. But it was all when you were doing
hospitality.
Presentations in front of groups of usually about 40 to 60 people, depending on obviously the amount of people that turn up on that particular day. It was all really very scripted.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much room to play, I guess, with what you wanted to say. It was all, hello, welcome, here's the list of instructions or whatever.
Yeah.
Please listen.
But I think that's something that you have learnt, and that's what you did with the Festive Mini, wasn't it? You kind of wrote yourself a bit of a loose script, so you could kind of fill the gaps in, but you kind of knew what you were doing. Whereas prior to that, you just go, blah, and hope that the right information comes out.
Yeah.
It's just a bit more prep, and I think again that's something that we've learnt, and we're going to take on for the rest, or take into this year, that we're just going to get a bit more organised.
No, definitely prep I find is key, especially in those last two videos that I did with Andy Shaw, so with the Mini Haha and then the Special Component Shorty, because they're such specific cars that I need to get the detail right on. So I did a lot of research on those cars, especially the Haha, because it's such a historic car, and so I had research on when it was originally made, and then when it originally came to Northern Ireland as well, that it has a history here as well. So it was kind of if I got those details wrong, it would have ruined the video. So it took.
Yeah.
So it is. It's hard. I've half noticed now it is easier I write myself a bit of a script as well, and I don't really go back word verbatim on it, but I try to stick to it as best I can, and at least have bullet points of, at least the way I do it anyway, is bullet points of what I want to say in kind of the order I want to say it. It doesn't always work out that way, but at least it's a start.
Yeah. Well, we've said it before as well, like especially when we're filming reviews and that kind of thing, of having almost, we need to write like a shot list of those are the things that we need to get filmed. It is just all about organising, but it's quite nice to hear as well about what other people do, because I think we talk about videos and obviously you see the final product, but you don't actually know how anybody gets there unless you watch them do it. And even then, when you turn up on the day to film a show, you don't know what prep they've done before that.
No, I mean, when I first started doing YouTube, obviously it's probably quite evident through looking in the past at the older videos on the channel. I did have a lot of help from the likes of Joseph Lloyd of Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. You can probably see, I guess, his style and similarities to his style reflected in my videos of that time. But since then, as I personally have become more confident, I've made it more of my own thing, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think that'll only improve as people also, as we try to kind of compete with one another to kind of keep your channel growing. You have to find a different route to take in order to make it interesting, or a different video series to make your channel stand out from somebody else's, because it's just going to become a massive competition at one point. Well, it does. That's what kind of happens, doesn't it? Which is why people pick and choose channels that they like, and then you hear of somebody's that you go, oh, I've never heard of them before, yet they've got 3 times the amount of subscribers as you. It's I don't know. It's just all about getting there eventually, isn't it? I think is the thing. It's a slow burn.
Yes, that is very true.
Kev has said, I used to be a water spouts instructor, which is where he gained his confidence to public speaking. And water spouts made me laugh. He's then corrected himself to water sports. So not quite as interesting as water spouts, because that just reminds me of like little fountains.
Yeah. I will say though, just following on from your, I guess not rant, but thing about obviously competition, YouTube, I guess, can be a great way to obviously help each other out at the same time. But obviously at the same time, in a weird way, it is almost competition between people, isn't it? It's a really weird dynamic.
Race, isn't it? Good evening, Matt.
Yeah, hi Matt.
And also good evening to
Inari
the German Shepherd.
Hello.
Very good at typing for
a shepherd.
A dog.
Oh, that's interesting. What's the most unique car you've had in the shop? Well, I'd say my garage would be the better, because it's more just a little small garage at the side of the house working on personal things. But probably the most unique car that I've had is probably my MGB that I had going back about nearly 10 years now. So I had an MGB GT 1972, which is nothing terribly special about that, but this one had a 1950cc Ocelli racing engine with a lot of suspension work done on it, and that was a car that I kind of fell into purely accidentally. I'd already been looking for an MGB for my midlife crisis car, which I found, and I just liked it. It was a lovely car, and I think, to be honest, the man I bought the car off, I don't think he actually knew what he had, and I didn't know until I got the car home and did a bit of research, because it had been a long time since I'd driven an MGB, and I know driving, I thought, well, this is pretty quick. MGBs are quicker than I remembered. So it was only whenever I got it home, I was transferring over the ownership to myself. I noticed that the CC was down as 1950. And I was like, oh, that's strange. It's supposed to be 1788. And then the engine, going down, the engine number seemed really strange. So then I went out and checked the engine on the car, and the numbers matched up. I thought there's something not really right here. So I started researching it. Went through the MG Car Club, went to the MG Owners Club, the MGB register, and so on. And they put me in touch with Ocelli. So it sounds like it's an Ocelli. So they put me in touch with Ocelli anyway, and I rang through to the managing director there and got talking to him. gave him the registration number of the car. It was a Buckinghamshire registered car. And whenever I was given the registration number, he says to me, "Oh, is it a GT?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "It would have to be British Racing Green, would it?" And I says, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, I know that car. We built that car." But then he didn't have any records of it, unfortunately, because they had a fire so many years earlier and all the records were destroyed. But he remembered the registration number of my car. So that made I thought that made it a really unique little car, and I kind of wish I kept it. So yeah, that's the most unique car I've had. The most unique car I've had on the channel, however, would have to be the Mini Haha, which was on my, if you maybe haven't watched my video on it, it was my Christmas special on Christmas Day. It's a shortened Mini, which was built by the car designer Andy Saunders in the early 80s. So it's the most unique car I've had on the channel. So
yeah.
What about yourselves?
It's a good question.
I've only had one car. Well, I've had two cars, but they're both normal.
But I know before you became more active in the channel, what you watched quite a few of the older videos. So what would you say? I'm trying to think about what you've had on the channel in
I don't know. The
recent
Chevette is the
times.
only thing that came to my head.
The Chevette, yeah, they're certainly rare. The HSR Chevette,
yeah, they are.
That's probably the most unique one, I guess.
Yeah.
But if we're looking more modern, I guess the Alpine, the Christmas Eve special, I guess you can maybe call it. Not that we intended to have a Christmas Eve special; it just happened to fit on that day with the end of our calendar.
Yes.
The Advent calendar, that was. Right. Should we have a look back at the things?
Oh, Ian's cropped up. A different Ian.
Yeah. Hello, Ian.
Yes. Something. Sorry, Ian, can't remember.
Ian
his YouTube channel was made to boost his confidence rather than the other way round, so that was nice. And
I agree with that. Yeah.
Simone has said originally wanted to start a gaming channel, but deleted all content and started again with different ideas. Which I think is,
Well, it's like me. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I started doing this channel.
That's the thing as well, and I think coming from watching YouTube as a teenage girl, I never thought I would be involved in the car scene of or the car side of YouTube. It was lots of beauty and makeup and hair stuff I'm not involved. I don't have any interest in, but used to watch it because everybody else did. And I suppose it's kind of moved away from that a little bit in terms of what I watch now. But whether I'd have the confidence to do that myself as much as I'd like to, I don't know. Maybe one day.
I think you could do something.
I probably could. I think again it would be different if we had our own house to do it and I wasn't being judged by parents who don't quite understand. It's a bit different when you can shut yourself in the garage and go, just don't come out. It's fine. But
yeah, I think maybe everybody's the same. I kind of find that YouTube, it kind of evolves. So I think whenever I first started YouTube, it was only a platform to store videos on, and they're always private. Like it was my auto testing videos and things, which I kind of recorded them for my own use, just to see. Like I watch them back and I made a mistake there, or how I can improve my driving, essentially on the tests. But then I was sort of saying, somebody said, you should put them live, and somebody might be interested in watching them. So okay, I'll turn them all live. Thought, actually, people are watching these, so it must be of some interest.
Yeah.
So that's where it kind of evolved. I started putting more and more auto testing videos, and then realizing I could do something more with this. So that's where I think maybe where mine really started taking off was when I did. It was an event over here. It was a mini only rally called Join the Mini Legends, and it was based in around our north coast, but was the central point of the rally started at Grace Hill House, which is at the end of the Dark Hedges. Which, if you're into Game of Thrones, that's what do they call it? It's the King's Road in Game of Thrones. So there's a lot of famous areas around there for filming Game of Thrones, and we kind of did a lot of rallying in around those areas. But I did a promo video of the rally mini and kind of all these arty shots of it and a few things, and that got huge views as far as my channel is concerned, and realized actually this might be something. So then that's where I started producing videos specifically for YouTube rather than storing them on YouTube for me to review. or to share with friends or whatever. So it kind of, I don't know, like you said as well, you started your YouTube as being one thing and it became something else. And I think a lot of people maybe are doing that as well. It kind of becomes something and it kind of snowballs. And I never see myself as a YouTuber. I never thought that as well ever. Like, so it's kind of strange to come this way. But
because I remember you said to me the other day when you went out, I think it was shopping, wasn't it? That you had somebody actually recognise you on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it was pretty random. Like, and I wasn't even wearing this hoodie. I wasn't wearing my hoodie. I was wearing the Classic Mini DIY hoodie, and it was only just, oh, you must be into Classic Minis. I thought, yeah. And then, what mini have you got? And I said, oh, I have a mini 64 mini traveler. Hang on, is it green with a white roof? I said, yeah. I watch your videos. I was like, oh, random. It's just some random guy went in Screwfix. I mean, I thought, okay, wow. I don't see myself as a celebrity. You only felt like getting the pen out and getting some signing something for it.
Sign the back of his receipt.
They got little pencils, don't they, at Screwfix?
There you go.
Yeah, use one of those, right? Screwfix pencil.
So,
Write on the back of a catalogue or something.
Should have got a picture.
I don't know, I should just shout out for sponsorship. Oh, here, you Screwfix, if you're listening, I need this.
Sorry, Ian, yes. Ian F. Cars is now fixing assets on YouTube, so yes.
Yes.
I think we actually gave him a mention.
We did, but I think he's changed his name since then.
Ah, that's what was confusing me. Yes, he's fixing assets now, for those wondering.
Yes. And anybody who'd like to jump over?
But yeah.
Any last thing, or not last things, but as we've been going for
an hour
95 minutes.
An hour and 37 minutes, basically.
Yeah, I just know. I just got a flag up. My phone is now on 10%. So
yeah, okay.
I wasn't expecting to be using my phone today.
30. I'm doing as much as I can. There we go.
Oh, you've got a screenshot.
I've worked out a fancy way of doing it from the back of my phone now. I didn't know I could do that.
Excellent.
Any last things anybody would like to say before we?
Yes, I think we should probably wrap it up soon. So Ian can get back to his family. And obviously charge up his phone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you catch up on some YouTube videos.
Yeah. Where nobody types anything. Come on, guys. There's 11 of you, or maybe 9, because we're both logged in separately.
Well, it's actually the turnout for this evening's one's actually been pretty good.
We've had a very good turnout, yes. Bearing in mind we slightly crossed over with Joseph's live as well. I think Simone hopped over. I saw her in Joseph's chat. She popped over to here.
I have 2 YouTube things.
Oh. He's a multi-channeled man.
I can hardly manage one, let alone 2.
Yeah. I know what you mean, because when I started out with YouTube, I had a lot of help from a friend who I knew from secondary school, who was very much into his gaming, I guess, in secondary school, and then moved more to the, I guess, what would you call vloggy style?
Yeah.
Walking around going, hello everyone, it's me. Today I'm going to go to this shop and buy a load of things.
The ones that you take the mickey out of me for wanting to do.
Yeah, basically. Just playful teasing, really. But, yeah, initially, I'd always, not always wanted to, but I'd wanted to try and start a YouTube channel before, but I didn't know quite what to really focus on.
Yeah.
And at the time when I only had the Renault as my only car, as much as I was interested in doing car-based content, I didn't think anybody would really be interested in a big green Renault saloon from 1999 with rusty arches, you know. But I'm actually surprised by, I guess, how popular that has become.
Yeah.
Because in doing these live streams, we have had a few questions about, oh, what's happening with it? You know, and
it's different, isn't it? I think that's the thing. You've got to find the
thing
that you're interested in, but then a niche within that. So in order to do it, so I suppose.
But interestingly enough, I was having a look at the channel's figures, I guess you'd say,
analytics
from the last 365 days, and the McGann review is actually top 12, 11 from the last 365 days. Which, considering that was the first review I did back in, 2020? 2021, something like that. For it to still be doing quite well in 22 is quite surprising, really. Naturally, the Fiat badge replacement video was one of the top 3. No idea why that video is so popular.
I think the sitting on number 2 or number 3 on mine is how to change the fog light bulb in an F56 Mini. It's like it's definitely in the top 5 anyway. It's like, yeah, it's such a silly video, and it's way up there, you know.
Yeah. I think sometimes, well, I was saying to you last night, wasn't I, that one of my friends, her boyfriend's really into cars, and none of his family or anything really are. So he's kind of a little bit,
on his own.
They're all a little bit clueless, and he goes to YouTube for the help. So it's that kind of thing. I suppose that's what it is. That's why they do well, because if there's one of him in Southampton, there's going to be hundreds, isn't there? Really. So that's why they do so well. People have those ideas and think, well, actually, I don't know how to do this. Has anybody else done it? And the first place you go is Google or YouTube, isn't it? So, but yeah.
Yeah. No.
Nobody else has typed anything other than.
Did we miss any? I don't think we missed any comments.
Cool. Okay, well, shall we say then? Any final questions? We'll wrap this up at 9:45.
You've got 4 minutes.
4 minutes, yes.
You're very welcome, Swain. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well.
Yeah.
We thought we'd try something a little bit different to Mark this year with the live streams.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll have a few more with these.
Yeah, this kind of setup, I think it works quite well. And it's nice to have some, especially if it's just maybe one person, just to have a little bit of history, even if it was just for half an hour, just a little bit of history about their cars or their car or their channel or something.
I wasn't expecting this one to be mini-based, but it's turned out that way, and it's actually been really enjoyable.
It's been nice.
Yeah, it's been great. Well, thanks very much for the invite to join your live stream. It's been great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us. We can't see you anymore because there's a big comment in your face.
Kev's comments coming.
Sometimes I put about 40 hours into a video. However, it's always the simple videos that gets the views, like my paint shaker made from a rear window wiper motor. 40 hours is a lot of time. Me.
Yeah. Whew. Sometimes I complain when I put 4 hours into it and I get very little views.
Yeah, next time you complain, I'm going to send you over to
send me over to Kev and get him to tell me off.
Stop your complaining.
I have to say, Kev, I'm sure maybe half of those views are for me on that wiper motor one, because I'm actually building one myself. I keep going back to it for review.
Just keeps refreshing it, going back out.
Yeah, that and your little hub brake that you made as well from a mini spacer. That's another one that's you probably have quite a few views on that one. That's all me as well. Which again is another tool that I'm stealing from you.
Who's viewed it and how many times?
Just looks on. Ian, you've watched it 53,000.
Yeah.
Spent ages making a film and just get terrible views.
It always happens. I think you're never gonna get the right amount of time and the right amount of cinematic angles in order to get it to be perfect.
Yeah, there's been one video that I was really disappointed with. It was one I was looking forward to doing for so long as well. I think I remember telling you about this, Jake, ages ago, that our local transport museum, I always wanted to do a walking tour of it. It was one of my worst videos for views. It was terrible. It was so disheartening. And I just realised people on my channel don't want to see that type of video, so I'll not do any more of it. And I'll concentrate on other things. But it was one that I really wanted to do, and I thought, this is going to be a nice video, because I got great reviews on my walk around of Bewley, and as well, and a couple of other museums I did across the water, and they got great reviews, but no, nobody seemed to want to know about the Ulster Transport Museum at all. But I think it's a great museum, and I think
just set it on loop.
Yeah, we'll get the views.
It was disappointing, but maybe just people on my channel don't want to see museum reviews, so I'll not do them in the future. So.
Yeah.
That was something I was speaking to Joseph Lloyd about actually not too long ago. He was saying that for his 2,000 subscriber special, 3,000 something like that, he got the chance to review a Jaguar E-Type of all things. Very lucky man, that. I'm quite jealous of it. I'd have loved to go, but
you haven't got 3,000 subscribers yet.
No, I haven't done. Maybe we'll see. But he said compared to, say, his usual no budget reviews stuff that he was saying, you know, the Jag E-Type really fell flat on its face. He said view-wise it was terrible. And one of his most popular series that, at least for him, to actually make Tweed Jacket reviews, he calls it. You may have heard of it. He says this at the minute it's just not really worth making anymore, which I think is a shame because he does genuinely enjoy doing it.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? You've got to focus away from just the numbers if you enjoy it. So it's about kind of drip feeding them in and just knowing that maybe that week you're not going to get as many views. So.
Yeah, but he says in comparison, doing a Tweed Jacket reviews compared to his normal no budget reviews, which would be something a bit more standard, like a 90s Fiesta or something of that ilk. The 90s Fiesta will always do better than a Jaguar E-Type in his channel, so I guess that's not really a lesson in it, but it shows what his audience likes.
And it shows also that people go to different channels for different things, which is good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I went for a different mark of car, I don't think I'd get the same reviews. It seems to be my channel is minis, and that's just the way it's just happened to end up that way. And I think it's just going to be the way it's going to stay, at least for the time being, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we'll see how things progress in the future if we ever get a different car for auto testing or something. Because I know my MG, the budget MG auto tester build, which sadly ended up going to the scrapyard, it didn't really do that well either. So it's maybe not a bad thing that it ended up going. I can't just end that project, but because it wasn't really going anywhere. But anyway, sure, some videos do well. The other videos are doing so well. I never expected the viewer drive videos to do as well as they are. Which is the reason why I want to continue doing them, because they are getting great view numbers.
Yeah.
So, and I enjoy doing them as well, which is another thing. So
yeah, that's good. That's all part of it, isn't it? Really is.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, as long as you enjoy the content you're making, and obviously as an added bonus, the videos do well, it's a big booster, I suppose.
And the thing is, you hit it right with one video, and you find 10 subscribers or whatever come over. 5 of those might also like your tour around the local museum or something. You don't know. It's about building those numbers, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's like recently, the EAV cargo bicycle that we just got a chance to have a quick look around at Bewley. That's done stupidly well in the last couple of weeks. No idea why.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason as to why it should have done well, but it just has done. So, I can't complain too much of that. No, and as Simone's just said in the comments, the Cortina is absolutely loved, but other things not so popular on their channel. So, yeah, it's a strange world, isn't it, YouTube, really, when you look at it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But on that note, shall we bring this to a bit of a close?
Yes, before we lose Ian completely as his phone dies.
Yeah, I'm now down on, hang on a second, I'm down on 5%, so yeah, I think I've got like 5 minutes left.
Yes. Well, it's been 108 minutes and 20 seconds. Basically, I think we can probably call that a day.
Basically 1 hour, 50 minutes. We've gone quite a while with this. Yeah, thank you to Ian for coming on. We really have enjoyed this chat tonight. It's been really quite a different dynamic.
Yeah, it's
really
been nice.
Enjoyable.
It's been...
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, like I said, thanks again for the invite. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is a great format. So I'm sure there's other people in the wings can sit in this seat. Well, not this actual seat, in for future.
We'll get a knock at the door at the end of the month.
Yeah, we'll send Ian's address if you'd like to go over to his and sit in his office. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, and we will say Happy New Year and farewell.
Yes, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, have a great 2023.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. End of the month, I think we're looking for the live, just in case anybody's still there and listening. But we'll keep your eyes on social media.
Yeah, and tune in on this coming Friday, and you'll see the whole new project car, which is really exciting. It's exciting for us, put it that way. Maybe when you look at it, you might think, okay, what do you buy that for? But we're looking at it, and it's kind of we're really enjoying building it. So yeah, hopefully you'll tune in on that one.
Yeah,
cool.
But obviously, don't forget to check out Ian's channel, Team Ballylock Classics. Even before this new project vehicle he's got comes up, have a look at it now if you're not already subscribed. It's definitely worth it.
Got some time before you go to bed, surely.
Yes, definitely.
Anyway. Let's figure out how to end this, shall we? I'm not quite sure because the buttons are all in a different place.
It might be that little cross at the top.
Let's do this. See you later.
Bye.
Okay, thanks everybody. Bye.